New year. It's that time of year again. It is Banlist season, duelists. And I'm watching the reactions rolling right now. And it's the best time of the year to me. I always love seeing these. It's always fun. But instead of doing that, I'm going to take a minute, right as it came out, to talk about our thoughts. Because we don't do that enough on an official capacity. And this music's a little loud. We're going to just down a little bit. Got our classic song on. I've been cooking on this for a while, so let's go over it. Here it is. This is our new Forbidden Limited list. It's a bit of a beaut, honestly. I'm very happy with this. So we'll start with the structural changes. First off, we still have this. We've now added an official what we're looking at for certain cards that are on the list that either need to go up or down in copies in the future, but that we don't really know what to do with yet, that we're just looking into. Things that, future things to look out for. Mainly, this is because certain cards are very popular on unhits on the list that were not really a good time. Like, it was not a good time to bring some of them into the forefront after the test list and the survey. And there were also a couple of decks that we need to... Oh my gosh. That we need to look into. So, to talk about those, we've got Scar, Tri-Brigade, Kit, and all 3 ritual monsters. Now, what's up with that? What? We just had a big old mess a minute ago with that, huh? Okay, I just gotta get an extended version of this. I'm gonna be so real with you. We're just gonna put that one on. Anyway. The reason that we're looking at that is because Ritual is in a really bad spot right now. Both Ritual decks are nigh just bad. Like, Vendread has seen maybe Rogue success, and Megalith hasn't seen any, even with Nouvelle support. So we really had to look into this, but it wasn't right to do something major with it because there's a lot of different options here. We could unban Lord of the Red and just call it a day, letting both decks have this extra option. But that's not what Venture players want. According to the survey, the vast majority of people wanted Vendread changed, but in a different way from when we did it. And I know we did do the change, but I'll get to that. And a lot of people also had... Oh, shit. What are we talking about? A lot of people want Scar unbanned. That's where it boils down to. Scar was not a popular ban, and I understand that. It was not an easy decision to make, and we are going to look into it. Next list. This list, we don't have the resources and the time right now. We've got a lot of issues coming in. Tier Limit being a deck that we needed to address, and the other decks needed to be addressed on a different level. So this is our solution for now. And next list, hopefully with our meta mostly solved from the issues that we've given it,
should be fine to look into this. Ideally, Lord of the Red stays banned, and we find a way for Megalith and Vendread to succeed separately. Will this list and these changes to it do it? I don't know.
I don't think so, but I think it'll be a good step.
But hey, you've got the tools to try now, and if it doesn't work out, we're gonna keep going.
As for Torment, Kit, and Baboon,
The non-ritual related things, those are just because Baboon is very popular on the unhits,
and we aren't really considering it. I'm gonna be honest, it's just such a bad idea. It's such a sacky card at 3 that, like, when you add it, it just does so much for Shimeji, which
is a deck that was good enough that we got people wanted to hit it. Like, it wasn't a deck that was super calling for a hit, but the worry from some of our staff members brought the para to 1 change.
And besides that,
while I do think Metalfoes is in a fine spot like this, in this position, I just don't think Baboon is a reasonable thing to try. But a lot of people, I just don't think they know better
because it's such an old hit. I don't think they know what it was like for so long. So, yeah, that's where we're at, I think. That date's wrong. Date's absolutely wrong.
We'll get to that later.
Some of these dates are wrong. They're still wrong. Yeah, that date's not right.
As for Tri-Brigade Kit, and for Toddler specifically, these two cards are expected to be considered because if Generator doesn't end up doing that well, and if Tri-Brigade finally falls away from Generator and starts functioning on its own, then we have a really bad deck on our hand. Like, we have a deck that is not going to be that good. And I think we can, if these decks are finally separated, we're going to be able to consider it. But, I mean, that's not super likely. It's just there that we are considering it.
And Toddler, same thing for
Labrynth. We'll get into the hits in a minute.
But the hit is pretty notable, actually. We might be looking at a situation where we might be able to
one-hit Toddler, which is why it's on there.
None of these are for hits
so far.
In the future, they might be. But at the moment, it's not really
what it's for.
But besides that, we'll take a moment and we're going to look into the individual hits. We'll start with the unlimits,
which I guess is the unhits, but we'll start with them.
Megalith Portal, coming from 1 to 3, is pretty self-explanatory. This card is not really going to be played at 3. You only really want one copy because it's searchable and free and good advantage. But putting it at 3 is harmless, so you might as well, right? Inception going to 3 is somewhat similar.
Inception to 1 actually did matter a lot.
There's a lot of lines that really likes having 2 Inception. Also, in being not once per turn on its ritual summon is very powerful, which is something like Megalith really struggles with, and Vendread
has its issues with.
But I think it's
fine with how
Ritual's been.
Taking these chaff hits off the list is kind of like what all 3 of these are for, and then we can figure where they're at. Figure out where they're at
on the next one. That's the main goal here.
I know that's weird. It's not really an orthodox way to do a list, but I think it's the best way to do it this time around.
Re-Adventure and Evolution. Expect this card to maybe end up getting rebanned.
Not because the deck is going to be too good with Evolution legal, but because if we want to bring back Scar, I don't know how these are going to chill together. The current theory is to ban the Banishers, which is a very popular idea right now. And I know a lot of people are missing Scar. And that's why. Like, I don't think those can exist together. And they've all been suggesting this change. And I would have loved to do this change, but it's too sudden to drop that out of nowhere, I think. I think we have to give that time. We have to work at it, and we're going to. As for Fair Welcome Labrynth going to 3, that's because of a hit you'll see earlier. And World Legacy Secret, same thing. A lot of these limits are not because they're from weak decks. They're for other reasons. Actually, the ritual ones are because they're from weak decks, but that's neither here nor there. Onto the limits. To limit Havness. This is the only hit to mill. That sounds like it's not a lot. It kind of is a lot, though. To limit Havness is the only way it plays on the opponent's turn. Is one of its most powerful ones. It's the only really easily accessible card that in hand you can just special summon and mill. Obviously you have Laundry Dragon Maid, but that's not as powerful for a lot of reasons. You get less fusions, you get less everything when this card is at 1. And while you can put it back, it's going to be a lot slower. So the hope is that this is going to slow down the game enough that this deck's going to fall in line. Vala, this hits the grind game. And this isn't as important as Havness, partially because it is a card that admittedly isn't as good. Or that's not true. It's not that it isn't as good. It's that its multiple copies are for a grindier system that Trader just doesn't do. Trader is pretty good at ending a game quickly, but this means that it gets a lot weaker as the game goes on instead of maintaining it so much more. But besides that, it's just a solid hit. I don't think anyone's too surprised at this being the hit. Besides just banning boss stage is kind of just a good second option. There is an outcry for banning boss stage. I don't think this is the time. I think we give it like 1 or 2 more chances. Because we always gotta give things chances where we outright ban a whole deck like that. That's crazy. World Legacy Memory to 1. Now, this is done to bring back Secret to 3. This is the hope of letting Orcus play a little bit more by giving it the same amount of access to Indigo Clips. Well, actually, it's more strictly less access to Indigo Clips, while getting more access to the trap card that it was using for other things besides Indigo Clips half the time. It is going to also mean the majority of Indigo Clipses are going to be tied to secrets, which means you can MST and then they'll die. And that's just good. Like, it's not a giant unhit overall, but it's pretty good. And on to the remaining bans. Labrynth Setup is the last major hit to a specific deck. Kinda. This is a hit to Labrynth, Labnoid, obviously, second best deck in the format. And this card was very disliked by a lot of players. And the Lab players long agreed that this deck functioned fine without it. It was just a win more card. So if one side of the coin said, we don't need it, and the other side of the coin said, this card is dumb and wins you the game on the spot, because it does win you the game on the spot majority of the time, you get it out of here. And are they right, is the question. Will they actually get to be fine without it? I don't know. It's really hard to tell, actually, because just like having a bunch more Labrynth discards is super good, and losing those is just it does a lot of damage that you wouldn't have expected. So we'll have to see. We'll definitely have to see. But besides that, we've got the 2 Floodgate bans with Red Screen and Synchro Zone. I don't think it's any surprise. I think some of you might have been actually surprised that Synchro Zone isn't the only card getting banned here, because I'm calling you out. I don't think you know what Red Screen is.
I don't think the people who answered the survey know what that card does, because it got voted very few times on the survey. Meanwhile, every other card that was there, the other card, Synchro Zone, got a ton of votes. Majority of the survey, I believe, answered to ban that card. Or to end the card. But not the people... Not Red Screen, though. People did not know what Red Screen did, I don't think. If you don't know, Red Screen's just a strictly better Synchro Zone. Like, it means that you can still attack, which is what Synchro Zone doesn't do. And the cost of 1,000 life points a turn, which doesn't matter. I mean, it does not. That's not an important amount of life points. But this is going to force True Draco, a deck that was very successful, to play a more fair game.
Or use Scrub Grid, which is a more fair card, I guess.
Besides that, that's the whole list. It's a pretty notable list, but it's not huge. It's just a lot of small things.
Because this format's in a really good place.
Like, the most notable hit is
Labrynth set up to 0.
which, and
Havness to 1, obviously.
but, like, I think it was a pretty good list. Huh? I don't know what that was. Overall, I mean, I think it's a good list. I guess the real question is, what do you guys think? What does the community think? And I mean, what are we looking at in the future? I mentioned what we're looking at for the future. I know there was 1 or 2 mentions of what is Cardian going to get back, because Cardian is even less playable than Megalith right now. I don't know, man. I don't want to. I don't think Cardian is a healthy deck for the meta. I think the deck kind of needs to fall apart forever. I don't know if forever, but like maybe we can give them back Clover eventually, right? Like, that's about it. It's such a painful deck to play against that when it was good, it was such a bad place. It was such a bad thing to be up against. Besides that, I mean, I don't feel there's much more to say. I think we're gonna call it here. I hope that this explained everything that we're looking at, everything that made these changes more obvious. I guess I'll mention, like, why did certain changes not happen? Muffy Puppy was not very popular. It was kind of popular, but we decided not to do it just because it was kind of on the edge there. Sharon, we decided that Havness was the better decision, but if Meld continues to be in the future, Sharon is definitely in the cards. It was the most popular choice on the poll, but I think that's just because how good Mill was. They were picking the main hit they were looking at, and they didn't like the Rem Metal Foes Crimsonite hit, which is upsetting because I thought that was a really fun hit. I thought that was really interesting, but you know what? That's fine. We are here to do what the community wants, and if the community doesn't want Metal Foes Crimsonite at 1, that's fine. I don't mind that. We'll touch on other things that were considered. We considered Ariel getting banned. That was put onto at least one list, and then that got taken out pretty quickly. We also considered Tidying going to 1. That's the obvious one, right? But
I just don't think that's right. I think that if the problem right now is the drama tier stuff, we should be hitting the drama tier stuff, right? Which is Heaviness. And which is the tiers, not as much the Dragon Maids. Besides that, we considered just doing the Secret to 2 change, and then I came up with this alternative, and we ended up figuring out that it was kind of better. And we looked at a couple of other things that I'm not going to mention because they're not too important. Overall, this list was a lot of work, and it's going to be even more work for the next one. Hopefully, nothing crazy happens in the next pack. Honestly, I do hope something crazy happens in the next pack, but I also, for my sanity, am hoping it's just fine. Because I gotta deal with the rituals, and maybe now is not a good time to mention it, but Ocean is planning on leaving the council now that the list is out. So we've got a spot open, we're gonna fill that. I unplugged on that one. That's on me. My bad. Like, it's gonna be weird. But hey, as long as you're here with me, as long as people are here, I'm happy to do it. Happy to help. So hey, like, put in the comments of this video, like, your thoughts on the ban list and anything else you got. So that'll be all, I think. I mean, this is pretty unscripted, just talking video. So I'm hoping, I hope you weren't expecting something super edited. I'm hoping to do videos in the near future that are more advanced, but I'm still taking baby steps on that one. So for now, we're gonna head out. And I'll hopefully see you next time we have a list to talk about it a little bit. I hope I hope the other members of staff will like try to talk themselves, maybe most make a tweet or two or something. I'm getting off track here. I'm gonna end the video. Have a good day and night. I'll see you around. And thanks for enjoying the best format in all of you.